guys, so today I'm here to do a book review because I am again trying to catch up with like the 20 million that I want to make, but I am very sorry that these are coming late, but I am very excited to talk about Black Ice by Becca Fitzpatrick. This book, much like Girl on the Train, which I recently read before this one, very interesting psychological thriller of trying to figure out who the bad guy is and just being on the edge of your seat. I was dying throughout this whole book because it was just so intense and I was like, everyone's gonna die, the bad guy's gonna kill everyone, everything bad in my life is gonna happen, and every time I turned the page I was just like, it's going wrong. It was seriously such a good book to be able to make me feel like that the whole time, and I just couldn't stop reading it. Like, I just started and I was just like, oh yeah. Like this, I just couldn't. I was just dying the whole time I was reading this, but it was a very enjoyable read and I definitely recommend for everyone to read this. And I'll also warn you guys now, there is going to be spoilers in this video just because I want to talk about a few of the, you know, bad things that happen in this book and, you know, who the bad guy is. So I'm very excited to talk about it, so let's get into it. This book is about a girl named Bree, and a couple of months ago her boyfriend Calvin broke up with her and she's been kind of depressed since that happened, and she decides she wants to go on a hiking trip with her best friend Corby, and she gets really excited. She does a lot of training, she gets ready for it, but as they go up to the campsite, which is a house that Corby and her family owns, they get stuck in this snowstorm and then they go and try and find shelter, and they meet Sean and Mason there. Bree and Corby think that Sean and Mason seem like alright people, but then when they pull a gun on them and start dragging them down the hill and wanting them to help them get out, shit goes down. Now, this book I think was really intense because there was a lot of stuff happening, and there was also like a murder on top of the whole like being hostage thing, and when you first read the book you think it's Sean. He just seems like the guy that did it. The girl who was murdered's name was Lauren, and the way that she was murdered was described in the prologue of the book, and it told you exactly how it happened, what the person looked like, the stuff that was around her when it happened, the room where it happened, and just a lot of stuff involving her murder. But then it starts on with Bree's point of view and you're kind of like, why is this chapter here? But then it becomes more apparent because you start picking, with me, I started picking up clues in the book of items or people or stuff that looked like what was happening when she got killed, and then, you know, they found her body and a lot of different stuff was happening with this murder. But back with Bree, she's there with Mason and Sean and Corby, and she has to try and get them away because they convicted some crimes, and you kind of assume that they're the murderers, but you know, not really, because that's what these kind of books do, is you assume something and then it's totally not that, and it's someone less obvious completely, and then when it happens it's just like, ooh, that is a bit of a plot twist. And when it happens, it's just like, oh my god, I did not expect that to happen. But definitely this book pretty much is just, you know, a hostile situation where people taken, a lot of people got killed, a lot of stuff was going on. But anyway, that's pretty much the premise of the book, and I probably explained it really weirdly, but I tried. But anyway, let's start talking about the characters. So let's talk about Bree first. I gotta say, I did not like her. I mean, I really enjoyed this book, but Bree was pissing me off, and she was just, you know, one of those real fake girls who were popular, and I was just like, it's not like she was all focused about clothes, but it's just she was all about herself and about how she was always complaining about like Calvin breaking up with her, and she was all boy crazy and just everything and a big flirt, and I was just like, I don't care really, I don't at all. She grew on me by the end of the book, but she's still a big klutzy bimbo pretty much. And you know what else annoyed me too is, like, there was a scene, right, because she met Mason before he like kidnapped her and stuff, and she met him at the store, and then she was with Calvin, and then she was pretending that Mason was her boyfriend, and she was kind of like, oh my god, like, this is my boyfriend Mason, and then he's all like, oh hi Britt, and then she's there like, how did he know my name? Like, I mean, it was printed on my shirt, but how? And I'm just like, wait, what? Like, that was the scene that annoyed me, the first chapter of the book. That's the scene that I was just like, you stupid. And another thing that annoys me is, like, with Corby, at first in the beginning of the book, Bree's all like, yeah, we've been best friends for years and we love each other and we're never gonna let anything break us apart. And then the next chapter she's like, I feel like we've been really drifting apart and I just don't see how our friendship's gonna continue. And then Corby's always like saying how she's so much better with money and such a much better person, and she's just a little weakling, and it's just like, You were friends 10 minutes ago and now you hate each other and you just don't want to be friends anymore, and you're going on a hiking trip. Like, what is this? Like, Corby was seriously such a weak person, and like, she wasn't really in the book because like Bree made up this story about her that made them leave her behind and everything was happening, and I'm just like, my god, thank god Corby's not in this. We only have one bimbo in the book. But seriously, I was just like, what is going on? And another thing too, like with Bree and that going on this hiking trip, she was all like, I've been preparing for months and months, and then when she actually had to hike, she didn't know what she was doing and she didn't have any endurance at all, couldn't carry anything. And like when they were joking around saying that they were only going to be going for like small treks around the house, I'm just like, this book does contradict stuff. That's the only problem I had, is there was a lot of contradictions of like, one second it's like yay and the next second it's nay, and I was just like, what? What do I believe? I don't know. And let's get on to Mason. I think he was my favourite. I loved him, and seriously, I didn't think he was a bad character. Like, even though he started acting really rude, and he was part of the reason why they got captured a little bit, because he, like, you know, helped. I didn't think he was bad, and at first I was like kind of thinking that Sean could have been the bad guy, but it's just like, it was too obvious that it was Sean. Like, he was there when Lauren got killed, but he didn't kill her. And I gotta say, with Mason too, like, I really enjoyed learning more about him and about his life and how Lauren was actually, you know, his sister. I picked this up because when he had all this stuff on her, like, everyone's assuming that it was Mason that killed her, and it's like, come on, Mason didn't kill her. And then I'm just like, obviously that's his sister, because there was just little clues coming up, and I was just like, oh my god. I was so excited when that happened though. Like, I was just like, yes, Mason, in there. He was only with Sean because he was just trying to find his sister, and he assumed that Sean did it, but it wasn't Sean. And like, his real name's actually Jude, and I just can't see him as a Jude. He's not a Jude, he's a Mason, and I don't care. I can't call him Jude. It's Jude Law is the only Jude that's allowed, okay? And we should finally get on the character that's actually the one that kills everyone, and that is Calvin. I know this is probably meant to be a really shocking point of the book with Calvin, but I just saw it coming, because the one clue that I first got that I was just like, it's Calvin, is that he gave Bree a hat that was for Stanford. And that's funny because that's where Lauren went. She went to Stanford, and I'm just like, she lost her hat that day, and there was a little bit of like muck on the hat, and I'm just like, that's blood, that's her death, she dead, and she's got everything. Because Calvin never went to Stanford. He was always like, I mean, it's no excuse to kill people, but he always had a really like shitty upbringing with his dad being so horrible to him, and then he was just like wanting to ruin other people's lives because his life was always ruined. So whenever people were like doing education or going to schools and having a better life, he wanted to ruin that, and he never actually got into Stanford, and he's been living in the cabin, so he's just been killing girls, you know, over the time, and it was really bad. And another clue was that he shot Sean, killed him. That's something funny, like, not funny, is that in like only halfway through the book, Sean died, and I was just like, my god, Sean is out of the count. I was assuming it could have been Sean, but he did. I didn't expect Sean to die. I was just like, Sean gonna be alive. And then when Calvin straight up killed him, it was just like, yeah, it's Calvin. And then when Calvin finally got Bree and Mason, and then he was killing Mason and hurting everyone, and Bree was trying to run out there, and she's running outside with no shoes on in the snow, and it was just like, oh my god. Like, it was just freaking me out. And then they killed like a parked patrolman, and then it was just like, oh my god, everything bad is happening. It was just, there was so much bad happening and so many stressful moments in this book, and just ugh. And another thing I want to talk about is the relationship between Bree and Mason, and just saying they progressed quite quickly from being like, you know, he adopted her and everything happened, and then they're pretty much like having sex in the trees, like in a cave under a tree. And I was just like, damn. Like, just saying though, the good thing though with Bree is she was saying that she thought she had Stockholm syndrome, and I was just like, well, at least you're not just like insta-loving. It is insta-loving, but it was just kind of like, at least she was saying that there was a problem with that, and I was just like, thank you. At least you were saying that there was something wrong happening here, Bree. That was a good thing. Good thing. And I was kind of sad too that like Mason had to leave, and then she didn't see him for a year, and then she's just like, I'm gonna go to this beach and I'm gonna find him, and then they got together, and I was just like, okay, their relationship should be fine from now. But it was just kind of like, whoa. Too much was just, it was just like so much was going on in this book, and it was just like, whoa, everything is happening right now. But I definitely did enjoy this book. There was just a few things that irritated me a bit, because it was like sometimes the people were really fake. But other than that, I did really enjoy, you know, this book. Definitely worth the read. I'm so glad I finally read it. I bought this like so many years, like I bought this book when I bought The Night Circus, and you know how many years ago I read that? Would have been like 2 at least. So I've had this for a while, so I was very happy I did finally read it, and I did enjoy it. I think I gave it 4 stars because it's just some things piss me off. But anyway guys, thanks for watching this book review. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!